This should be the last page in that project. And it's comparing straight line depreciation to Macker's depreciation. So we will fill out both of these. I put them on separate pages so that I would have room. Okay, so you'll have a table that looks something like this. Again, yours will have different numbers, but I'm going to show you how you would go through the process of filling in these blank spaces. So here we have the original cost of a vehicle, the salvage value, what it's going to be worth when it's all said and done. Depreciation, this is linear depreciation. So notice it depreciates by exactly the same amount every year. Here we're supposed to calculate, I think there's a typo here, the accumulated depreciation. So as time goes by, how much has it depreciated by total? And then here we have the book value. All right, so to find the accumulated depreciation, you just take your total here and add the next value. So to go to the next line, we take our 20,800 and add, it's going to depreciate by another 10,400. Okay, and go ahead and add those together. Okay, and so now it's depreciated by 31,200. Okay, and you can continue going down the page. Okay, so to find the next one, we would add the next $10,400 because it depreciates by that much again next year. Okay, so we're adding up to find out how much it goes down in value. Okay, that puts us at depreciation of 41,600. Okay, and then we have one more year that it's depreciating, and it depreciates again another $10,400 because in linear depreciation, it depreciates by the same amount every single year. Okay, and we end up with accumulated depreciation of 52,000. Now notice that makes sense. It's depreciated by 52,000. It still has a salvage value you can sell it for 8,000. And if you put those together, you get your original value of $60,000. The other thing we need is the book value. Now the book value is the original cost minus the accumulated depreciation. Okay, so let's take a look. So for this first one, the original value was $60,000 minus the accumulated depreciation in the third year was 31,200. So we just subtract those. And we'll have the current value of the vehicle at the end of that year is $28,800. Okay, so that would be our book value right here. Okay, we keep going. The next one in year 4, again, the original value was $60,000, but in year 4, the accumulated depreciation was $41,600. Do that, we get 18,400. Okay, and then in our final year, again, the original value was still $60,000, but in our final year, it's depreciated by 52,000, which leaves us with just a value of $8,000. And again, that's what the salvage value on the end is. That's how much it's worth when you're done using it and ready to sell it. Okay, so this is linear depreciation. And again, how linear depreciation works is it depreciates exactly the same amount every single year. And in the end, you have a salvage value. This one is the other type of depreciation where you have a fixed percent that it depreciates by each year. And notice the percent is not the same. Okay, the first year it depreciates by 20% of its value, the next year by 32% of its original value, 19.2%, Then we have 2 years that it depreciates by 11.52% of its original value. And finally, in the last year, it depreciates by 5.76. Notice at the end, you've totally depreciated. You're down to 100% of the value is gone. There is no salvage value when we're using this type of depreciation. What they want us to fill in, let's go one blank at a time. So our first blank is in row 2. They want to know the book value. Well, the book value is still the same. Okay, the same as we used with the previous example. The book value is the original value minus the accumulated, I'm going to put ACC, depreciation. Okay, so we can find the book value there. The original cost was $60,000. And at that point, it says the accumulated depreciation was $31,200. And we do that, we get $28,800 is the book value at this point. Notice also something that happens with this type of depreciation is it depreciates really quickly. And by year 3, it's only worth $17,000. All right, the next blank is here in row 3. We've been given the original cost, the fixed percent it's supposed to depreciate by, and they want to know what was the annual depreciation. Well, to find that, we just take our original cost times our percent of depreciation, move the decimal 2 places to the left, and then multiply. So our original cost was $60,000. We take that times our depreciation percentage of 0.192, and we get $11,520. Okay. Next, row 4. Again, in row 4, we're asked to find 2 things, actually, the annual depreciation and then accumulated. So let's do annual first. So again, move your decimal 2 places to the left for your percentage. Then you take the original amount, which was $60,000, times that percentage. We get $6,912. Okay, what would the accumulated depreciation be? Well, to find that, we take the amount of depreciation before that, the accumulated before, and just add on this new amount. So it had depreciated by $42,720, and then this year it depreciated by another $6,912. So now it's depreciated by a total of $49,632. Okay, we get to row 5. What is it looking for? Okay, we had the original cost. It depreciated by the same amount it did last year. Oh, look, we can double check, make sure we got the right answer there. Okay, now that accumulated depreciation. Well, it depreciated again by 6,912, so we add that to our total to find out what the new total depreciation is. So add the 49,632 that we found, add another 6,912, and we get 56,544. So by the end of year 5, $56,544 of the value is gone. And then here they want us to find out, well, then what would the book value be at the end of that year? Again, for book value, you take the original value minus the accumulated depreciation. The book value at that point was, or the original value, we know, is $60,000. At that point, the accumulated depreciation we just found was $56,544, and we just subtract those. We get $3,456 is the value at the end of the 5th year. Okay, and then in our last year, notice we can double check it depreciates by the rest Okay, the rest of its value is gone, and that's why this is blank, is because it's just a value of 0. That's how this type of depreciation works. It totally depreciates and is worth nothing. Okay, so now that our charts are filled out, they have a few questions they want us to look at. Again, my charts are a little different than yours because I use different numbers, but we're just going to go through how you would find the answers to these given your charts. So which depreciation method shows a greater value for the van at the end of each year? So which one does the van have a higher value? Well, look at the book values. This one has 49,600, 39,200, 28,800. Okay. This one, on the other hand, the first year it's dropped in value down to 48,000. The second year it's clear down to 28,000. The third year 17. So notice this one is decreasing in value faster. So the straight line depreciation has it keeping a higher value at the end of each year. During which years is the MACRS depreciation was annual depreciation the greatest? When was the annual depreciation the greatest? Well, it would be the one that has the highest percentage. So in year 2, it depreciated by 32%. Okay, so in year 2, it had the highest depreciation, and that was the highest percentage it depreciated by. Okay, question 3. During which year did the MACRS depreciation was annual depreciation the least? What do you think? So we're looking at this type of depreciation. Here's our percents of depreciation. When was it the smallest amount? Which year? Well, 5.76% is the smallest, and that was in year 6. Next, what does not why does not MACRS show salvage value for the van? Why doesn't it show salvage value? Okay, and I'll let you type the answer out to that one. It's because in that type of depreciation, there is no salvage value. The vehicle depreciates completely. Notice at the end, it's worth nothing, so there is no salvage value. And the last one is totally an opinion question, as long as you give an opinion of either straight line depreciation or MACRS depreciation, and then tell me why, you'll get credit for that. So which type would you prefer to use and why?